Welcome to Middle Math Academy's Distributive Property Level Number 1. This is part of our differentiated series where we have 5 levels of challenge for every topic. Let's get started. Make sure your name is at the top of this paper. Let's go ahead and take a look at our learning targets. I can write equivalent expressions and combine like terms using the distributive property, and I can draw a model to represent the distributive property. Before we get started, go ahead and rate yourself 1 through 5 on our learning targets, 1 being the least confident and 5 being the most confident. At the end of the lesson, we'll come back and we'll rate ourselves after we've gotten some more practice. Let's go ahead and get started with some examples. The opening says, draw a model using the distributive property, then write in an equivalent expression. So whenever we're drawing a model, I'm going to zoom in on example 1. Whatever is inside the parentheses, we can write out. So for example, I have 3x and 4y. Go ahead and write with me. And then the number on the outside of the parentheses, the 2, that tells us how many groups there are of the inside of the parentheses. So in this example, we have 2 groups of 3x plus 4y. So we already wrote it one time, but since the 2 is on the outside of the parentheses, I'm going to write it again. And then I have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6x plus 8y. Go ahead and try example number 2 on your own, then come back to the video. Let's take a look at example 2. I'm going to start by writing out what's on the inside of my parentheses. We have 2d and 4e. Then I know the number on the outside of my parentheses tells me how many groups there are. So I have 3 groups of 2d plus 4e. So I'm going to write it out 3 times. Then I can see that we have 6d and 4, 8, 12e. So our equivalent expression is 6d plus 12e. Go ahead and complete example 3 and 4 on your own, then come back to the video. For example number 3, you should have 3 groups of x and y. Okay, and then for our equivalent expression, we have 3x plus 3y. This video won't go over example 4, but let's take a look at our notes beneath our examples. In our first few examples, we talked about the distributive property representing groups of terms. Another way to think about it, and this is note number 1, make sure you're writing with me, the distributive property means multiplying the number on the outside of the parentheses by each term on the inside. So when parentheses are next to a number or a variable, it means multiply. Make sure you have this down. Let's take a look at example A. We have 5 times h plus 5 times 3. So 5 times h is 5h. I'm going to bring down the plus. And then don't forget you have to multiply the term on the outside, 5, times our second number, 3. 5 times 3 is 15. You cannot combine these and say this is 20h because 15 doesn't have an h, so you can't just suddenly say that it does. So our final answer here is 5h plus 15. Go ahead and try example C on your own, then come back to the video. For example C, you should have done 4 times A, which is 4A. Bring down our plus. And 4 times B, which is 4B. Final answer. You cannot combine these and say this is 8AB. That'd be like saying you have 4 apples and 4 bananas, and suddenly you have 8 abanas. Like, abanas are not a fruit. Okay, so this is your final answer, 4A plus 4B. Go ahead and complete example B and D, and then if your teacher wants you to, check in with your teacher. Go ahead and complete example A and B on page 2 on your own, then come back to the video. For example A, you should have multiplied 3 times G and gotten 3G. Bring down your minus sign, and 3 times 4 is 12. This should be your final answer. Put a check if you got it correct. Let's take a look at B. Problem B, you should have done 4 times 7A, which is 28A. Bring down our plus, and 4 times 2N, which is 8n. Final answer. You cannot combine your a's and n's. Complete the rest of page 2 on your own, then check in with your teacher if they want you to. Let's take a look at page 3. Go ahead and complete A through F on your own, then come back to the video. Let's take a look at problem G. So one of our notes earlier was that parentheses means multiply. So when we're trying to write an equivalent expression to 10 plus 20, let me zoom in a little bit. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply this 5 times 2. And I can see 5 times 2 is 10. So then I'll ask myself, okay, well, 5 times what number is 20? I know 5 times 4 is 20, so that's what's going to go in the blank. Go ahead and try problem H on your own, then come back to the video. For problem H, 11 times 4 is 44, and 11 times 6 is 66. So you should have 6 in the blank. Go ahead and complete the rest of this page and check in with your teacher if they want you to. Let's take a look at the top of page 4. Our notes say you can simplify expressions by combining like terms. Make sure you're writing with me. And you can only combine terms that have the same variable. So if there's more than one A, you can combine all of your A's, you can combine all of your B's, and so on. So let's look at this example right here. I'll zoom in a little bit. We have 2 times 3a plus 4b plus 5a. So now we have 3 terms, but we're still going to treat it the same way. We're still going to multiply 2 times all 3 terms. So I'll start by doing 2 times 3a, which is 6a. Make sure you're writing with me. Then I'll do 2 times 4b, which is 8b. And then 2 times 5a, which is 10a. Okay, so this is similar to what we've already practiced, except now we had 3 terms. Now that we have this, I can look and say, oh, okay, well, I have 6a and then another 10a. So because they're the same variable, I can combine them to make 16a. So now I can rewrite this as 16a plus 8b. Let's practice another one. Let's take a look at example A. Our coefficient is 3, so we're going to multiply this 3 times each number on the inside of our parentheses. I'll start by doing 3 times 3j, which is 9j. Bring down the plus, make sure you're writing with me. 3 times 2k is 6k. Bring down the plus. And 3 times j is 3j. So that's our first answer after we distribute. Whenever it says equivalent expression, we're going to combine like terms. Okay, so I have j's and k's. I can combine all of my j's. I have 9j plus another 3j. That gives me a total of 12j plus 6k. And just one other side note is we usually, when we write our terms, we write them, the variables, in alphabetical order. So j comes before k, so that's why I wrote that first. Go ahead and complete example B, then come back to the video. For example B, we're going to multiply 5 times each term on the inside of our parentheses. 5 times 2x is 10x, plus 5 times 10y is 50y, plus 5 times 2x is 10x. That's our first answer. Then when we write an equivalent expression, we can combine our like terms. So in this case, we can combine all of our x's, and we get 10x plus another 10x is 20x plus 50y. Go ahead and complete C and D on your own. This video will not go over those problems. Then come back to the video. Complete problem E on your own, then come back to the video. We know that parentheses means multiply, and we'll treat it the exact same way. 6 times 3a is 18a, plus 6 times b is 6b, plus 6 times 2b is 12b. Don't forget, you have to multiply the number on the outside of the parentheses times every term on the inside. Okay, so it says select all of the expressions that are equivalent. So we know it's going to be this first one. And then we can also combine our b's. Okay, think about it like 6 bananas plus 12 bananas. That gives us 18 bananas. So another way of rewriting this is 18a plus 18b. That is also one of our answers. Complete example F and any unfinished problems on this page, then check in with your teacher if they want you to. Go ahead and complete page 5, then come back to the video. For problem E, when we're combining like terms, you can think of it as 2h plus 8 plus another h plus 8 plus 13 more h. If it helps to write out the h's and then count them, feel free to do so. So if I have 13 plus another h, that's 14, plus another 2h, that's 16h all together. And then I have to add 8 plus 8, which is 16. Okay, so here's one of my options. Now, what I'll say on these types of problems is anytime you see parentheses, make sure that you multiply it out. All right, so let's see if it's equivalent. 8 times 2h is 16h, and 8 times 2 is 16. So our first answer is also equivalent. So if that helps on any of these bottom ones, feel free to adjust them and then check in with your teacher to get feedback. Go ahead and complete all of page 6, then come back to the video. Go ahead and check your work for problem A. Remember, in this problem, Melanie made the classic mistake of combining different variables. Our final answer should have been 30a plus 24b. You can't combine different variables, so it would not be 54ab, and Adrian would be correct. Before we wrap up today, make sure to complete our debrief problems. In your own words, what did you learn today? How much effort did you put in class? Rate yourself 1 through 5. 1 is the lowest, 5 is the highest. And what do you think is a common misconception or a common mistake students might make with distributive property? Once you've answered these 3 problems, you're going to go back to page number 1 and rate yourself after the lesson. So now that we've gotten some more practice, you'll rate yourself 1 through 5 on our learning targets. And then don't forget, check in with your teacher if they want you to. Thank you for joining us today at Middle Math Academy, where we practice distributive property level number 1. This is part of our differentiated series where we have 5 levels of challenge for every topic. If you're looking for any additional practice, make sure to check out levels 2, 3, 4, or 5. Thank you for joining us and have a wonderful day.